Hello, welcome back to How a Shark Thinks. Today's episode features Copper on Breach. It's had the turbulent history of balance changes, but as of now, it is settled as a low-risk, low-reward type of support shark. Without further ado, let's get right to it. Starting the match off with a lunge to skip the sprint windup. First aim is to pick off the stragglers. The third diver tries to follow me, but I've looped around the wing, contrary to his expectations. With this much health, I'm off to heal and reset. We see another diver on their own, so they're receiving their due punishment. Their due punishment. While the others are distracted by our fellow Mako, we'll pick off the diver that's behind. Now, I had my ability there. I knew he was going to kill me. I also knew I could have lived if I used my ability and swam away. I chose not. The reason being is that I have 60 evolution points. Copper's playstyle of constantly escaping and healing preserves life tickets, but it's time consuming. To mitigate this weakness, I'm picking both double time and upgrading the ability. More general mobility saves time, since the seals are quite the distance away from the safe rooms on this map. And faster rage gain means less time spent farming rage and more value out of the divers shooting their weapons. The divers are split apart here. I'm choosing the diver on the left, since they're the closest to me, and it's easy to break line of sight after grabbing them. Another lone diver, another lone gravestone. Now, this diver is already looking in the direction of my attack, so I know I'm going to get shot when I go in. On top of that, I got tagged and blocked by Steve. Oh no! Anyway, usually another shark would die here for their badly executed attack, wasting both a life ticket and time. I'm only going to lose out on time, not a life ticket. Undoubtedly, this diver and the one that just spawned are on the verge of shooting me to death, so I activate my ability and escape. I'm still in their line of sight here, and I don't have enough rage to break it. I lunge upwards. Sure, there's a wall up there, but my tag wore off. The divers don't know where I'm landing. They tag me again, but it's too late. I've already broken their line of sight. I'm waiting for the divers to make their way here. Narrowly missed the diver, and now a multiple of them are shooting me. Oh no! So anyway, I won't be able to kill this diver before I die, so I activate my ability, drop the diver, and make my way to a seal behind the walls. I break the other wall to give myself more entry and exit options. The divers are all suspecting I'm going to come from there. Obviously, I'm going to enter from the other side. This diver is going to shoot me! Oh no! So anyway, I'm going to be low health. I need to have my trigger finger and my reflexes always at the ready as a copper. Bleeding is not as bad as toxic. I keep sprinting a bit more after my ability wears off, just to find a good spot to break line of sight. This is sufficient. Let's try a new entrance. One diver wandered too far and got punished. I got speared, but I barely survived. I activate my ability so I can move a bit without worrying about divers trying to get the final blow. Since the time my ability gives is very limited, I spend the stamina on a lunge instead of sprinting, so I can quickly break line of sight and get away. There's a flare, and the divers are looking this direction, so I get out of the way. I stick to the side here so they don't see me. A diver wanders too far again, and the other divers were too busy watching the front to save him in time. I double back to grab another diver who was too late to fire. There's a pad right there, and I also know that there is a spear gun that could take around 4/5 of my health away. Oh no! So anyway, remember that activating the ability doesn't drop the diver. It's when you reach 20% health or less while the ability is active that the diver drops. So even if I didn't take any damage in these situations, I'd still kill the diver. There's no harm in playing it safe. I pop my ability just to be safe, regardless of whether I kill the diver or not, and swim away for a reset. After killing the second diver, I popped the ability in anticipation of this diver's spear. He didn't fire, and he got mauled by the other shark, but I've popped the ability anyway because anticipating the worst is what you should always have on your mind. This diver is off alone, so I take the opportunity to kill him. I saw the spear gunner, but my ability wasn't ready when I opted to trigger it. It does become available at some point, however. If I was mashing my ability button right there, I might have survived that shot and got a chance to run away. I'm taking electroreception because knowledge of weapons and health is pretty important to a copper. I'm also taking adrenal gland since copper can make the most out of this evolution with its ability. I got speared and disoriented, but I already saw this diver having a partner with him. Surprisingly, the other diver wasn't shooting. That right there is why. So how depth works is that if you sneeze from across the map, all the pro divers heard it and they know where you are for the next 17 years. But at the same time, this guy, he doesn't know. How could he? It's impossible. It's inconceivable that he would know of my presence. Regardless, I choose to linger in the shark screen instead of healing to gather more rage. I've got enough, time to use it on that shark screen. The movement here is really sloppy and I die for it, but in the end of the day, we did what we set out to do. That saved us a good deal of time. Life tickets are not a concern anymore because all the good uses of the ability, mobility, and healing in the first two saves have come together to give us a very significant life ticket advantage. I get Nimblefin to put all that stamina from adrenal glands to more use. Another lone diver, but I missed. But it doesn't matter, so we're moving on. The cracks in the floor are red, so it's one hit away from being broken. Instead of aiming upwards and going through, I aim to the side of the frame. This breaks the wall and lets me safely get away. Bonus rage from a couple of misled divers. I'm waiting to get some more rage, but a diver peeks down. I take the opportunity to grab him. The mistake was not popping the ability once I grabbed him. As a result, a couple of consecutive spear shots kill me before I can react. One of Copper's counters in action right there. They've got a couple of flares here, so I get a bit of extra rage and then leave. First, I hit this wall to bring their attention here. Then, I break the laws of physics. You know, just another day in depth. A diver tries to place a consumable, and he gets punished before he can even get back into the room. Knowing from the sound that the consumable is either a mine or a buoy, I activate my ability in case it is a mine and in case said mine is close enough to kill me. Turns out, it is a mine. It doesn't have enough damage to kill me, but you can never be sure of what could happen next in an encounter. This diver is not only straying away from the group, but he's also very low health, meaning he'll die very quickly once I grab him. I get shot, which is enough to spike my rage through the minimum threshold, and then use it to run away. This is a horrendous position in terms of safety, but they luckily refused to chase. I would have been dead if they did. Doing a U-turn at this point and going down under the room would have made a lot more sense than what I just did right there. I grabbed a diver and got away, and started taking out the sonar buoys. I want to keep my positioning ambiguous. I contemplated using one of the ceiling routes here, but the divers weren't watching this hallway anymore, so I just continued on the same route. I moved to the right instead of forward here. They're all watching this direction. I popped my ability in anticipation of spears. They're distracted again, so I go for the one behind. Lunging in the air with Blade is not exactly the brightest idea. A simple lunge across the top of the corals here would have been good enough to break line of sight without dying to bleed. I picked up Placoid Scales since the seals are really far away on this map. Razor Fins is there in case there's a diver on very low health that could be finished off, especially the ones that I dropped myself. Let's not waste time swimming around, we'll just jump over this wall. I'll farm a bit of rage by hitting Steve and grabbing their attention, then running away. I see their mine over there. Since I'm not confident I'll finish the kill with all the others watching, I'll just kill the diver with their own mine. My ability, of course, lets me get away with it too. I'm disoriented, bleeding, and poisoned. I didn't intend on attacking another diver anyway, so the disorienting is obsolete. I'm going to stop here to take care of the bleed, and lastly, I'll sprint and lunge back to get to the seals as soon as possible and take care of the poison. This is why we pick up Placoid Scales. And before this episode comes to a close, I've chosen not to leave just yet after losing most of my health to a mine, because I saw something of great interest before I went in. The diver is still sitting there. Thanks for watching today's episode, and I hope it helps you in your sharkly endeavors.